I'm Dr. Josh Satterlee from Biomechanics of Las Vegas, the ART clinic here in Henderson. When we talk about conditions we typically see, one of the best success rates we have is with plantar fasciitis. This is a condition that people just, absolutely loathe. They wake up, the first few steps are painful, or they're used to running and they feel a lot of pain in the bottom of their feet, things like that. And again, we're going to step back, or we're going to separate this into easy to understand anatomy and see if the problem lies in there. Now, I'm not saying every case of plantar fasciitis is easy to solve. Certainly a lot of them have been around for 12 years. But what we see is people, say, I got a new orthotic, I got a softer shoe, I changed my footwear, and that works for a while. And then a year later, 2 years later, they say, well, I had to move to a softer shoe, I had to buy Z-coils, or I had to buy a specialty orthotic. And unfortunately, when you run out of those footwear options, what keeps causing you pain? Well, again, we're going to look at where is the pain coming from. If we look at the way a foot moves or is shaped, we have a foot here, and then the tibia and fibula come up like this. So here's your big toe, and here's your heel right here. You have a bunch of muscle here on the back of your lower leg there. And from that muscle arise the tendons that come over and attach. Okay? Sometimes they're very long, they attach to the toes. Sometimes they're shorter, like the posterior tibialis. Why do I bring up those muscles? Well, if you want to play a little game at home, if you have this condition, open an anatomy book or look at anatomy online and say, does my pain correlate with the insertion of a muscle? There are plenty of people that point right to the insertion of the tibialis posterior and say, that's where I feel my pain. Oftentimes it comes after a run, or if I run on unstable surfaces, it's worse. Well, one of the roles of the tibialis posterior is to maintain your arch. Okay, provide a fixed lever for your foot so you can push off and produce power. And that gets overworked, it becomes tight and fibrotic, and it doesn't let your foot move properly. Another common one is the flexor digitorum longus. It arises on the back of the lower leg, wraps around the ankle, inserts on the toes, and it's what takes your toes and flexes them like this. Again, we look at where that insertion is, and we trace that tendon back, and somewhere along there, oftentimes we find a little adhesion. We treat that adhesion, immediately the people stand up and say, I feel better. Within the foot, the intrinsic muscles, a common player is the quadratus plantae. It's a square-shaped muscle that is about mid-foot, and it helps maintain your arch. Okay? It maintains the longitudinal arch of this foot. When that is tight or fibrotic, that's going to create a lever, and instead of having a joint here, a joint at the midfoot, and a joint here at the ankle, you're going to now have the entire leverage of a fixed unit here. So if you mobilize that first ray, get that big toe moving and articulating at these different areas, you may find, wow, that feels a lot better. Well, that might be a time that you want to look at these different muscles. The quadratus plantae will create a too long of a lever, and it'll make the bottom of your foot overwork, inflaming this plantar fascia. Reduce that adhesion in there, that reduces the stress on the plantar fascia. You get up, you walk around, it feels a little funny, but it feels really good. And we see that a lot. You can teach a few stretches afterwards, and the problem's solved. It's not always inflammation that you're going to have to deal with and make your shoes softer. ART is incredibly effective at treating plantar fasciitis.